Okay, let's talk about a really big shift happening in California special education, Assembly Bill 438. If you're a middle school teacher, especially if you're working with 7th or 8th graders who have an IEP, this is for you. Think of this as your guide to the new world of transition planning.
So, it's 2026, and the old way of doing things is officially out the window. It used to be that the formal talk about life after high school didn't even start until a student hit 16. But now, that whole conversation has to begin the moment they walk in the door for high school. This is a huge change. And guess what? The groundwork for it all? It starts with you.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll get into the new timeline. Then we'll talk about middle school's super important role, lay out an 8th grade playbook, get into specific assessments and activities, and finally, touch on how to support students with extensive needs. All right, let's dive right in with the new timeline. What is this AB 438 thing really all about?
So AB 438 basically says that IEP teams have to start planning for what comes after high school, things like college, a career, living independently, as soon as a student starts ninth grade. So instead of that really short takeoff ramp that started at age 16, we're giving students this much longer runway to prepare for a successful launch into adult life. So the law points directly at high school, but the real prep work, that actually starts with you. So what does this mean for middle school's role in all of this? And this is the key question, right? If the law is for high school, why do you need to worry about it? Well, it's simple. For students to be truly ready for that big conversation in ninth grade, they need to get prepared in 8th grade. And you don't just have to take my word for it. The state guidance makes it super clear. As you can see here, starting this planning in 8th grade is strongly encouraged. Now, is it a legal mandate for 8th grade? Not yet, but it's absolutely a best practice that gives everyone, the students, the families, and both school teams a much-needed head start. Okay, let's just clarify a word you're going to hear a lot: matriculation. It's just the official term for a student moving from 8th to ninth grade. It's totally different from the Individual Transition Plan, or ITP, which is that formal document that gets created later in high school. So, you know the why. Let's get into the how. What do you actually need to do? Here is your 8th grade playbook. Think of the entire spring semester of 8th grade as your official transition season. It all kicks off in January by reaching out to the high schools. From there, you're working together on schedules, holding those really important matriculation IEP meetings, and getting everything wrapped up by May. That way, records can be transferred smoothly over the summer. You see the common thread here, right? It's all about collaboration. Your job is to get the ball rolling, get the high school staff to the table, host the meetings, and just be that go-to source of information for your students and their families about what's coming next. Okay, so we've covered the what and the when. Now let's talk about the how. What are the assessments and activities that make all this planning really meaningful? A fantastic tool to keep in your back pocket is the RIOT framework. It's a simple but really effective way to make sure you're getting the full picture of a student. R is for reviewing their records. I is for interviewing the student, their family, their teachers. O is for observing them in different settings. And T is for testing, using both formal and informal tools to see their strengths and needs. And this is where the rubber meets the road. This is how we turn all that data into action. We're not talking about abstract ideas here. We're talking about real-world activities that build actual skills. Can your student open a bank account? Can they fill out a library card application on their own? These are the real building blocks of independence. But of course, we know transition planning isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. So let's get specific on how we can adopt these practices for our students who have extensive support needs. Here you can see a kind of menu of some really powerful tools that are designed specifically for this population. For a student who is nonverbal and uses AAC, something like person-centered planning might be perfect. If you need to come up with super clear, actionable goals, you might look at the ESTR. The whole point is to pick the right tool for the right student. And look, no matter which tool you choose, just remember these core principles. Always use more than one method, get information from real-world settings like home and the community, and always focus on functional outcomes, the skills that are actually going to boost a student's independence and quality of life after they leave school. So, if you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway? AB 438 isn't just some new line in the education code. It's a total shift in mindset. It makes 8th grade the new official launchpad for a student's entire journey after high school.
This new framework is here to stay, and the work starts now with you. So the real question to take back to your team is this: how are you going to use this earlier start to build a stronger, more supportive bridge to the future for every single one of your students?